video is, I think, the last video for physics. That is, until they change things again. So I just wanted to quickly go over these pole blocks before we get started here. And that is because they have different stats between all of them as well. And I actually didn't know that there was this many pole blocks. Now I just want to state that all of these act just like regular blocks in the sense of max load and mass. So I figured I would just clear that up with everybody. So here they are in the order that they were in the chest there. The first three are like the weaker wood blocks. Max load of 24 with a mass of 4. That's these three right here. And that's what they look like. Then it goes on to reinforced wooden pole block, which is like when you reinforce the wooden walls, they have the metal on them. They act differently as a pole. So they're 36 by 6 for both of those, and that's this one and this one. And these two act like the brick blocks, and that's 72 by 12. And then there's kind of like the regular concrete, which is 90 by 15. That's this one here, and it looks the exact same as the reinforced concrete version. So these are the only two you will not be able to tell the difference of, unless of course, I believe this one you would get through upgrading the wooden poles, and that's where this one comes in. And then these ones would be ones that are already there. So the reinforced is just like reinforced concrete, and it looks like the other concrete block. So honestly, I wouldn't trust any of these, really. Unless you're just using them for aesthetics. Then it gets into, where am I? The metal blocks. So this one's the wrought iron block. And like all metal blocks, these are all the same with 320 by 20. So this one I think is already in the game. I don't think you can place this one. I could be wrong on that though. I just don't use these, so. And this is one that you would probably get from upgrading the reinforced concrete pole. And this one you get from upgrading that one. And then it would go into the steel. So that is those ones really quickly, and I just wanted to state that they act just like any other block. Alright, now the things I want to touch up on with this tutorial here is I kind of want to finish off and hopefully wrap everything up into one video and kind of clear the air with structural integrity. So if you've been following along with these videos, you will know that with a single layer, you can build up to 15 blocks before things start falling, and I'll get into that a little bit later. However, you can only walk on the 8th block. And I'll just demonstrate that here quickly. So, this is the 8th block. If I were to try and walk on this, it would fall down like so. That's the first hidden rule about the physics in this game. Now there is another hidden rule. Actually, there's quite a few. So that brings us to the second hidden rule that I'm going to talk about. This is 15 blocks out, as we know you can build. Normally, I would only be able to walk on this one here. However, as soon as I add another layer, that changes that rule. That rule becomes obsolete once you add another layer. Of course, you don't want to be missing any blocks. So that's at the maximum that you can build with metal objects. Now, as we've seen not so long ago, this was the farthest you could walk. But now that there's 2 layers, I can walk as far as I want on this entire row here. And that's the second hidden rule. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's supposedly more structurally sound, but that is just the way it is. And that brings us to the third hidden rule. And that is that no block can exceed or go over 15 blocks unsupported. And I can prove this even with concrete. So I'm going to get into this fairly shortly as well, and that's the ability to have more mass than the original max load of the block by adding more supports. So this comes out 15 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So that's 15 out. It doesn't matter which material it is, you cannot exceed 15 blocks. So, and I thought that that was only with metal, but it's true for any block. I tried doing it with wood, but because the max load is so low, I found it incredibly difficult, which I'm probably going to try over here. So that was the third hidden rule there. And with the double layers, you can actually build some extremely large structures with this knowledge. As this here is 15 blocks on each support. So really max load and mass is a pretty simple subject, but it can get very complex very fast. And essentially it's just counting, it's just adding. That's all it is. However, once you start having more variables in place like dirt and other materials, destroyed stone, that's when it starts getting complicated. But in the sense of this game, the more supports you have, the more max load you have. So, for example, let's pretend this is steel. This one side here has the max load of 320. As soon as I add onto it from this side, it adds another 320 to the max load here. However, there's one more hidden rule, and it's kind of difficult to explain, but I'll try my best. And so when you combine supports like this, like if I were to go over here and do it as well, so now this has a total of 320 times 3. As you can see, it's a whole mess of math. But with this in mind, this last hidden rule that I'm going to talk about is when you combine supports like this, you cannot exceed the original max load. And what I mean by this is probably best explained with wood. So if you've been following along with these tutorials, or if you've done some math, wood frames have a max load of 24 and a mass of 4. This results in being able to place 6 more wood frames unsupported. So when you have 4 sides here, this is 24 plus 24 on this side, and then another 24 on this side, and then finally a 24 here. So that's effectively 4 times more than what it could originally hold. Now, if you counted out 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is the maximum amount away from these extra supported areas that this will be able to hold, regardless if these extra supports would allow more. And the only way to really get around that is to continuously add blocks where the extra supports are. Then you can add one more. And so that basically just shows this last rule there, that these other 2 sides here are kind of acting like an additional support. It's really difficult to explain it, so let me try and count here. So there's 3, 6, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let me just recheck this. Yeah, so 10 plus 6, that's 16. 6 times 4, 12, 24. So theoretically speaking, I should be able to add 9 more blocks. But with that last hidden rule, it will not allow me. In fact, it'll break off at these extra supports here. So hopefully I explained that well. It was really difficult to try and figure that out. But with that in mind, you can build things like this over here. That's how I got this concrete out 15 blocks, when originally it can only go 7. And to get the middle piece to go 15, I actually had to add a support. So I lost 1 support by doing this, but I gained the ability to add up to 15, right? Because if there was no support there, this block would count as 1. And then this block here would have been 15. So hopefully that makes sense for you. And yeah, let me just see if I can give a quick demonstration here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. That's the maximum amount that concrete can hold. Reinforced concrete, I mean. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if I wanted to exceed this, I would create this block, or this side of this support, to become the support for the front. So now I have 2 extra blocks here. Remember, this can only hold 7 of itself. I can now add an additional 2 blocks here. If I added 1 more, that's 6, and this is 7, or 14 in total. And I can achieve even greater amounts of length by going like this. However, even though I added another support here, including this one and this side here, I cannot go past 7 over these 2 blocks here. It's pretty complicated actually, and it's hard to get right. However, if I add 1 more there, I can add 1 here because it's not going past 7 on this support here. And that's how you would build something like that. Now, I don't suggest doing this in survival. However, it gives you a good idea of how much your structures can actually do. And you do gain more max load capacity with columns like this. However, keep in mind, you cannot exceed 15 regardless of the material. So, thank you for watching. I hope that helped you out. If it did, press that like button, or even if you liked the video, and subscribe for more awesome tutorials daily. Bye bye.